Welcome back to the GSTL, and Prime is on their last leg, and that leg's name is Bjorn.
The third Terran player.
Third and final.
If he goes down, then so does the Prime team, and FXO will advance to the semifinal.
JKS playing a really impressive game against the Reaper build we saw in his first game, his debut. I'm really curious to see what sort of build we're going to see from Bjorn. Will we see something similar? You know, he looked on the bench, you know, had this face of like, oh no, I gotta face this guy? This is not going to be easy.
The thing is, he can go for exactly the same build, because what won JKS the game, or what helped him a lot, let's say helped him, was that there was no wall. The Zerglings were able to get into the main base of Maru without a problem,
yeah.
So that was a huge factor in the last game. So if Bjorn now looks at this and decides to go for the 8 Barracks, 8 Gas Reaper build, I would not be surprised.
You know, the build that we saw, it was partially not as successful because of JKS's excellent drone micro. He did not, I mean, he lost a lot of mining time, but he did not lose as many drones as a lesser player would have in that situation by pulling them back really nicely. So if he messes up his micro again, for example, when Bjorn attacks, it could also go worse for him.
Bjorn, of course, has a lot more options than going for Reapers. It's a strong strategy, but it's not the only one that you have. You can play a very standard style. You can go for also Halberd drops. You can go for... It's just a Marine Marauder Halberd composition.
It's somebody's birthday today, but I think is what that said, but I don't know which player that was. But I'm sure somebody will tweet at me what that is.
I touched on the subject earlier. Yesterday, we have a special client here for the Heart of the Swarm tournament that we are currently running in cooperation with Blizzard. And yesterday, we still used the patch where the Halberds took up 2 cargo space in the medevac and not 4. Today, we are on the newest patch. So Halberd takes up 4 cargo space, which means that he can only drop with 2 Halberds if you use 1 medevac and not with 4.
Yep. So we could see a Hellbat drop, but it's more likely that we will not see that opening. It's still viable, it's just not as strong, and people haven't really figured out how to change it yet. The map choice for Bjorn is this new Atlas map, which we have, you know, not very many maps left, so it may not be a specific choice as done against Zerg. It's a 4-player map, a little bit bigger than some of our other maps.
And the game is loading, guys. We have another Zerg versus Terran. This is going to be the game between JKS and Bjorn at the GSTL Pre-Season. JKS already defeated 1 Terran player. Let's see if he can take down a second one. Bjorn is the last player for the Prime team, the last hope. Can he pull through for his team? Gonna find out right now at the GSTL Pre-Season with Carl and Wolf. The bottom right of the map of Atlas, we have our FXO player, the Zerg called
FXO JKS.
Yep, there he is. His opponent, interestingly enough, turned off his auto mine at the beginning of the game. For the Prime team, the final player, the final Terran, he is
Bjorn Prime.
And it actually made a pretty big difference in the mining, I noticed. I'm not sure why he turned it off, but he has that setting changed.
Yeah, looking awkward as usual.
Yeah, but I think he looks much more normal with his haircut, to be honest.
The one thing that we note immediately is that he does not go for a Rex Reaper build, and on Atlas, of course, this makes sense because this is a 4-player map. When we talked about the possible openings earlier, we did actually not consider the map itself. So if you go for this build, you usually want to know exactly where your opponent is started. So a little bit more of a normal build for Bjorn.
You can't SCV scout really around 4 positions because you're already going to be low on harvesters. You can't afford to take that much of your mining away. We'll see what build he wants to do. He's going to go CC first, but the question, of course, then becomes what is the follow-up? And since he's the one who's going CC first with the gas that JKS has, the ball is in his court now to make that gas really worth it. Like you talked about before, most Zerg players are getting gas because they want to be defensive against the Reapers, but this does offer some timing attacks like the fast burrow that we saw from Lucky in the first set.
Yeah. He has a lot of options here. He can go for a fast attack. He also has a good defense against Reapers if he's going to face them. This is what you want to do. But I actually think that you're right when you say that he has some ace up his sleeve. This is not only going to be very defensive. I feel that he will, of course, want to have speed early, but still, this is something where I can see him go for a very aggressive build too.
Yeah, I agree. There's the speed first, and you can see that one gas has been taken for Beyond. Not two though, so you may want to get a faster third command center to save some of that. Those SCVs and have them mine for minerals instead. He's going up to 2 more Lings right now, which is going to put him up to 6.
Baneling Nest,
Okay.
I like it.
This is smart because he doesn't want to play against a Terran. He's already just defended and followed up with 1 all-in, and now he's just going to do a second one.
I feel he's very confident in his abilities. Bjorn needs to be very careful here now, and this is something that Bjorn probably does not expect at all, which is why it's smart. There we go, Scout. He knows exactly where he's positioned.
Yep.
For Bjorn, this is bad. This is really bad.
He
Bjorn
doesn't
has
have
no
any
clue.
idea. He has not scouted even a little bit. He has no idea what position. He didn't even see the Overlord in the main. The Overlord peeked it, and even if you are seen by an Overlord, you can't necessarily see the Overlord seeing you because the vision range for the Overlord is better than the buildings.
Wolf, I'm not sure if he can defend this. He has no information whatsoever. This is a one-base Baneling bust.
Yeah, we have not seen something like this in a really long time.
In an eternity.
And he's making a reactor right now, which means his production is going to take forever.
How many Marines does he have? He has 2. I think this is game.
And he does not
The
kill the
Overlord
Overlord.
survives.
Yes.
If the Overlord dies, then yes, he supply a block that will help Bjorn. But I think with the build that Bjorn chose, I don't think he can defend against this.
I don't think so either. The wall is not going to hold. And he's got so many Lings already, and he waits, which makes this even worse.
There are the Speedlings. Speed is done. He has 2 Marines.
Oh, if he catches this while he lifts, he can't lift now. If he had lifted at the wrong moment, that could have been disastrous.
Both supply depots are gone. He
More
is supply
Banes.
blocked. He cannot build
he can't
anything.
make Marines. He's all going to have to fight Banelings and Lings with SCVs, and we all know how that turns out. That one
Boom!
Baneling gets the perfect hit.
This is game.
It is certainly game.
JKS has done it. He defeats the Prime team. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
The Zergling follow-up is on its way. Another Baneling hits home. 9 SCVs left. Yes, double orbital, but with all those units streaming across the map, it doesn't really make a difference anymore.
Yeah, this is game. He gets the first 2 Marines out to die.
These are Speedlings. If they were Slowlings, then yes, maybe with good micro, Bjorn could turn it around. But if
The tag
That's
team of 1 heli and then a repairing SCV are not going to actually kill everything that JKS has. He can try.
down to 6 Harvesters, well, he has the double mule. No,
And the
still.
Hellion is hanging in there, but I just don't see him being able to hold off all the larva production that his opponent has at this point in time.
That's very important for JKS now that he doesn't miss his inject, because this could still end with the defense of Bjorn, but not anymore. There are
Not
just too many
anymore.
Zerglings.
You're right.
But it could have... that going for the breakdown Zerglings here.
Yeah.
There was a chance of JKS messing this up, but he played it well. Bjorn is now scanning. He wants to see what's going on and sees the main base of his opponent. He knows, okay, I don't have a chance here anymore. He didn't scout, and JKS went for a very, very all-inish build. Got rewarded for it. Only 2 Marines. That's not enough to hold a 1-base Zerg Baneling all in.
GG. Well played. Bjorn, on the other hand, is very disappointed. His GG timing there was about the same as Marine Kings. And JKS
Wow.
is the MVP too, man, for sure.
That was well played. That was really well. And he dodges.
Well, that was kind of a weird ending to our Team League series. I did not expect a Baneling bust off 1 base on 4-player map.
It was very sneaky. Very, very sneaky, and I like it. But, yeah, the Prime team, of course, not happy.
Yeah, I'm sure Bjorn is thinking that the last thing he expected in a Heart of the Swarm exhibition match essentially was a 1-base Baneling bust.
They have very strong players on their team, and also players that are very experienced with Heart of the Swarm, and today they could not show their strength. Marine King going down to the gateway, all-in of Joya. Then we have JKS with wins against Maru and against Bjorn, playing really well here.
Bjorn looks really upset, man. If you look at his eyes closely, you can see how this is really actually affecting him quite a bit.
He had no information. He didn't scout on a 4-player map. He was confident in his abilities to hold pressure, but he didn't expect such an aggressive build. There's one thing if you go for a Roach aggression on 2 bases, if you go for a Roach Baneling bust, or if you just try some kind of different approach to the game. It's an entire different matter if you go for a build that hasn't been seen in in an eternity on one base, committing this much to a rush.
Yeah,
that's rare.
It's quite rare, in fact, and it was just, I mean, it was weird. You never see this build anymore, even in Wings of Liberty hardly these days, because it's just, if you get scouted, the game is over because your opponent's going to make bunkers and be ready. He's definitely not going to be making a reactor like that with a factory coming down.
Think about how different this was from what we've seen against Maru. Against Maru, he starts with a hatch first, goes then into pool and gas, but with the timings so late that if you look at it, the map before was a 2-player map. Suddenly you play a 4-player map, and of course he expected him to go into a hatch first again and to play like a very late game oriented game. That didn't happen. He went just into one-base play and completely mind-gamed here.
Did you notice that he waited for a second? I think he tried to time it. I'm not joking. This is actually my theory. I think he tried to time the Lings running up the ramp for when the switch would happen with the barracks and the factory. Did you notice he went up there right before with his Lings, and he went Lings before Banelings, which doesn't make any sense otherwise, because you have to lead with Banelings against the wall if you want to bust it. He could have been planning it that far in advance, because if your opponent does that build, or you know there's like a 5-second window where he's going to be moving those add-ons. Regardless, it was just a well-done build, and if Bjorn had scouted, he would have been able to defend, but he didn't scout at all. He played blind.
Exactly. He did not know what was coming, and well done by JKS. It does exactly what he needed to do. Mind games here going on, and Bjorn could handle it.
Yeah, could not, indeed. We're going to have an interview first with the Prime coach, even though they lost in this tournament. We just do a little interview here.
최근에 레드에서 좋은 모습 보여줘서 오늘 좋은 결과 있을 거라고 생각했었는데 좀 약간 경기가 안 풀린 것도 있고, 그래도 오늘은 좀 이긴다는 마음보다도
The Prime players were doing really well in the ladder, so he was really confident today.
왔기 때문에 오늘 뭐
But they didn't manage to get into the second round of the GSTL Pre-Season tournament today. It's going to be a good experience for them, and also for the next season of the GSTL. That much is definitely true, especially for Charo. Having the exposure here on camera, playing in front of an audience in the booth, that will definitely help him in its development as a player.
Yep.
이제 군단의 심장으로 본격적으로 이제 모든 시즌이 시작이 되는데요. 저희 팀 선수도 이제 다 한 명 한 명 이제 모두 이제 군단의 심장 열심히 준비하고 있고요. 저희가 이제
Now that Heart of the Swarm is going to be played in every season,
추진했던 저그라인까지 모두 이제 군단의 심장에서는
he actually thinks that they have a really good race balance with Zerg, Terrans, and Protoss players.
선두하는 프라임으로 이렇게 거듭나도록 하겠습니다.
네, 알겠습니다.
They're going to do their best to at least win one season of GSTL this year.
Yeah.
자, 박예식 감독을 만나봤습니다.
It's a good goal, and I like his words there, because he's basically saying, you know, hey, we lost today, but this is the beginning of a new prime with a new race distribution. We've gotten some new players that are playing Heart of the Swarm, and this is kind of a new start for us. So I like that.
기량을 거의 뭐 선수들이 한 30%도 발휘를 못한 경기가 오늘 나왔다는 생각이
And I
듭니다.
think we're going to first take an interview with the other team, the victorious team, FXOpen.
앞으로 뭐 일주일 정도의 연습 기간이 있으면은 아이디 3개를
Perhaps not only with Choya, but maybe even we'll chat with
그
JKS.
정도로 빠르게 이제 적응을 할 거기 때문에 앞으로 뭐 걱정은 하지 않습니다.
네, 자 정규 시즌에서의
like
프라임 팀의
that. That would be
활약
cool.
기대해 보면서요. 자 이어서 오늘 정말 기분
I like
좋은
that
승리를
Heart of the
거두었습니다.
Swarm
지금
logo
한껏
that they have
들떠있을
between
것도
the
같은
picture desk.
자
It looks
이영섭
really
플레인
cool.
감독 마이크 부탁드리겠습니다. 수고하셨습니다. 축하드립니다.
수고하셨습니다.
아 일단 오늘 2킬 멀티킬 성공하셨어요. 기분이 어떠십니까?
What do you think about your win? How is your mood?
맞아 떨어져가지고 운 좋게 이겼고요. 솔직히 후반 운영 가서는 제가
Thinks he was a little bit lucky today that his builds worked for
팀원들이 좀
him.
기회 주는 식으로 내보내줬는데 어쨌든 오늘 좀 이겨서 기분은 상당히 기뻐요.
And he thought it would be really hard for him if it went to a macro match, so that's why he used those builds today. But we all know that. Yeah. She's like, no, I'm asking you about how you feel about what your team did today, not what you did, Choya.
저희는 GSTL 할 때 항상 회의를 해요.
So he's like, remember when I won earlier?
선봉을 내기 전부터 이제 회의를 해서
He's already
이제
starting.
선봉을 내고 그 이후부터
We'll see what he has to say for real, though.
He's really open about it, though, and I like that quite
짜는데
a lot.
그걸 제가 안 해요. 제가 안 하고
I mean, he's very
최승민
honest.
코치랑 권재현 코치랑 선수들이 다
Team FXOpen always has meetings before the GSTL to determine their first players.
항상 우승을 해왔었고요.
And also what he's saying is he's not the one who makes the order of the players actually, but the other coaches are the ones who do it.
물론 그렇게
And that's actually interesting information.
정말 뛰어난 승률로
He thinks
찍더라고요.
Prime
그래서 저희는 자유연하게
has a
플레이부터
really good team
연구를
because the
했어요.
players they have in the actual Grandmasters ladder are the first, second, third, and fourth.
도저히 이길 수 없을 것 같아서
He
자유연하게
thinks the FXO team has had more time to practice Heartless Swarm than Prime has, which I think is true as well,
상대로는 이제
as they have less players in
저희도
the
준비한 것도 몇
actual
개
individual
있거든요.
leagues.
네.
좋은 빌드들 다음 아주부전에서 바로
Now
오픈할
they're facing a
테니까
Zubo in the next match.
여러분들이
We have some good builds planned
마시고
for
저희 이기기 위해서
Heartless
어쩔 수
Swarm, and they're going
없었어요.
to show their builds.
진짜
네.
이기고
Their new
싶었거든요. 저희
builds.
팀.
네.
That is
그래서 그렇게 한
in the
거니까
match against the Zubo.
여러분들 좀 이해를 해주셨으면 좋겠어요.
아, 더 준비된 것을 펼치기 위해서 어떻게 보면 이건 프라임 팀을 존중한 것이군요.
네.
네, 자유연하게 대한 기본적인 뭐랄까 다시 분석까지 되돌려 봤다라고 하니 더욱더 그 타당함을 느낄 수가 있었습니다. 자, 이영서 플레잉 감독뿐만 아니라 오늘 이영서 플레잉 감독은 프로토스입니다만 나머지 선수는 오늘 저그 엔트리로 모두 구성을 했다 이런 이야기 좀 들었었거든요.
I'm like
그러면서도
waiting
승리로
for
거뒀다는
us to be on
말씀이
camera in a
아니었습니까?
second.
그렇습니까? 송대인 선수
Then I started imagining what it would be like if we suddenly became 3 people that were Korean and also one of us was a female. That would be really weird.
토스도
You can be
괜찮고
the
테란도
female.
괜찮은데 저그는 좀 약간
We can both be the female and 2 guys together.
테란 같은 경우는 초반에 8배럭 해가지고 너무 테란들이
Choya thinks that Terran and Protoss are doing really well, and Heartless Swarm and Zergs are having a lot of trouble on the ladder.
때문에 이카루스에서 조성주 선수를 이겼는데
And that's why he used a lot of Zergs today to really find out how Zerg fits into these other matchups.
상향되게.
자, 아직까지 또 베타이라는 것도
The mind games definitely helped
감안하셨으면
them,
좋겠고요. 자, 이영서
JKS
플레잉
proved
감독님
in the game against Beyond especially that he's a really smart player and not only a solid one. He showed us his micro already in the series that we had against Maru.
어떤 FXOpen이
Yeah,
되겠습니까?
he
각오
just showed
부탁드릴게요.
great play overall, really good
항상
decision
열심히 해주는
making.
팀원들이 있기 때문에 이런 게 가능하다 생각하거든요.
Decision making to go for a one base
팀원들이
banding
그리고
bus is always a really tough choice to make.
항상 우승하겠다부터 해서 코칭 스텝도 같은 마음이거든요.
The good results they had last year because of the players that practiced so hard.
두 번 다 충분히 우승할 수 있으니까 꼭 좋은 모습 보일 수 있도록.
They think the team league is really special. This is something that everybody knows about FXOpen. They really love GSTL. It's what they focus on the most. That's why they win it so well, because it's the most important thing to them. Even though we haven't won the individual league
네,
yet,
알겠습니다.
I think FXOpen is really strong in the team league.
FXOpen 2013년을 우리 기대해
And we're
보면서
also expecting them
이어지는
to win
4강에서의
at least
아주부와의 경기
one
군단의
season this
신작
year.
내용을 또 기대해 보도록 하겠습니다.
And I think
수고하셨습니다.
that's what probably
자,
most
이렇게
people are
해서
thinking
네,
because
4강
this
대진이
team
하나
has looked
완성이
pretty
됐네요.
unstoppable with GSTL so far.
Yep. But even Gumiho said that he was a little bit surprised that they were able to win 2 seasons the last time in the last year in 2012. So right now here are the results again. FXO advancing to the semi-final, facing a Zubu now. Choya with a win against Marine King, with another win against Terra, and then JKS to close things down.
Yep, JKS closing them out in the final game against Björn. It was a pretty interesting day of matches. We got to see a lot of Zerg play, but not a lot of new Zerg units just yet.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's actually true.
We got to see the Pearl only, basically.
Yeah. That's the only thing that we saw by Lucky, and it didn't really work against Marine King. But here you have the rest of the games that we are going to watch in the next few days.
Yeah, since Azubu advanced over Startail, they will play against FXO. And then, of course, tomorrow we have Enes Hosa against MVP. And the following week, LGIM against Axiom Acer.
The match tomorrow is going to be a little bit later. It will be at 6:10 p.m. Korean Standard Time. So the start is going to be 4 hours late, 6 hours later than today.
Yes.
No,
4 hours later.
4 hours.
You had a wolf moment there.
Yeah, I had my personal wolf moment.
So don't forget about that. Make sure to tell your friends that this entire preseason will be free and high quality, and that they should watch it there.
Yep.
And we'll also be on Twitch as well. So for those of you guys liking to watch on Twitch on your mobile phone, for example, you will be able to do that.
And we are going to see you tomorrow with the next team match here at the GSTL Pre-Season. I hope that you enjoyed today's shows. See you tomorrow.